want to make sure that you get the kids too. Why? Because Mr. Fisher wants to see all that. Even those folk that acting a fool. All right, now, this is what we got. First order of business here. We're going to talk about data dialogue. And we need to understand what data dialogue is. Data dialogue is a way of breaking down graph information. It's a way of being able to break down our scores and get understanding as to what's going on. A lot of times what happens is we take tests. We pass tests or we fail tests. But a lot of times what we do not do is we do not understand what it is that we're taking, what it is that we're doing, or how far short did we fall so we can improve. We mess up on that. So what we're doing today is we're going to have that dialogue. And we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to explain to you the 4 phases of it. Now, there's 4 phases of data dialogue up here on this board here. First phase is predictions. Second phase, go visual. Phase 3, observation. Phase 4, inferences. I want you to put those phases down that I got here. Take a couple minutes and make sure that you put those down. And we'll give you a couple minutes to be able to copy that down. We got about 2 more minutes for it.
Excuse the interruption. Mr. Geck, your book is here. Mr. Geck, the book is here for you.
The first phase, or phase 1 of data dialogue, is dealing with beliefs, assumptions, or questions. What do we mean by beliefs? What are beliefs? When we're talking about beliefs, what are we talking about? Yes?
Beliefs is like when you believe something and you do it, you don't go along with everybody else.
Yeah. So when we're talking about beliefs, it could be something that internally you believe. It might not be something that somebody else believes. Okay? So when we're talking about beliefs, that's one of the things that we're talking about. When we talk about assumptions, what are assumptions? Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you a real example about this. When we talk about assumptions, I need everybody to sit up, please. When we talk about assumptions is this. The young man was wearing his pants, and his pants were without a belt. And he sagged his pants, so immediately I felt that he was up to no good. What is an assumption? What can we say an assumption is? Morris.
Like you're thinking of something, assuming something, but you don't know if it's true yet.
All right, so a better way of saying that. That's almost like saying, black is black. Give me a better way of saying it. Yeah. Could be predicting. Yeah.
If you're black and like a white person think like if you black and you think the white person feels
And they don't even know you, right? So go ahead, finish. Oh, to judge. Okay. What about questions? And you're absolutely on the money with that. What does questions mean? What does it mean to have questions? When we talk about questions, what does it mean? Go, David.
Ask somebody something that you know.
You got to speak up, man. You can't talk like this.
To ask somebody something that you want to know.
Yeah, to ask somebody something that you want to know that you don't have an understanding of. So phase one is going to be talking about beliefs and predictions. We're asking questions about the data. We don't know what's going on. We're going to try to figure it out, and then we're going to try to assume. So we're going to assume if we're doing this thing right. We're going to assume if we're doing this thing wrong. We don't know what's going on. So if you don't have this, make sure you have that down for phase one.
With the lights on the paper,
Yes.
both of us.
As long as you have phase one right now, we're good. But you see where this is going, so if you get a head start on phase two, that's fine. All right, phase two is all about visual. We're going visual. I see your hand there, I'm looking at you 1 second. As you see, you have those eyeballs up there. It's what we see. We recreate the data visually. So that means that now we're going to be able to show it. We're going to be able to not only show it, but we're going to be able to internalize it and make it our own. Question, go. Comment? All right, so we recreate the data visually. So we're going to be able to show the data, and we're going to have to make sure that we're able to understand that which we're able to show. And we're going to get into that because I got some examples on the board. So if you take a couple minutes now, make sure to put that down. Phase two, visual. Some people are taking good initiative. I see what Robert is doing, he's taking good initiative. I like the way that folk are taking initiative, saying, I'm gonna go a little bit further. I'm done with phase 2, Mr. Stone put up phase 3. Phase 3 is dealing with observation. What is this a picture of right here? Magnifying glass. What does a magnifying glass do? Makes things bigger, right? So we're able to get a bigger picture. So when we're able to get a bigger picture, this means that we're able to look at the data, we're able to magnify it and say, okay, this is where I messed up. This is where I fell short. Man, my addition was off. Man, my subtraction was off. Wow, what happened? Okay, I missed this by 2 points, maybe 3 points. My average score was this, my range was that. Had I just answered 3 more questions correctly, my score could have been 20 points higher. Now, before we would take these tests, and it wouldn't be a big deal. What test did we just finish taking? What big test did we just finish taking? Raise your hand if you know. Ooh, Faith?
The data dialogue.
Not the data dialogue. NWEA. We just took the NWEA test. And so by us taking the NWEA test, what that NWEA test has done, it has created ranges for us. Rob, let me ask you a question. What do we talk about when we talk about ranges, Rob?
Like
I love when you said like. That means that you about to say something good. Go.
this right here, that graph.
All right, so you got a graph. So let me give you a number. So let's say your number was 162. What is the low range that you could get?
Oh, you talking about like say if it's like 65, like round like round.
Well, not rounded, but let's say that you had a range of, on the low end you had 160, on the high end was 172, and you got 165. Did you fall in the range? Were you below the range, or did you surpass the range?
I fell in the range.
You fell in the range, right? And so NWEA test, that's what it does. It breaks down that for us, right? But we have to be able to analyze the data. Rob was able to analyze the data in his head just to get better understanding. All right, so now we come to the final phase of this. Now when we talk about the final phase is what?
Phase 4 inference.
Phase 4 is inference. Final 4 is inferences. In inferences here, we're generating a hypothesis. A hypothesis, yeah, I knew you guys talked about that in science. Go. Russell, what's a hypothesis?
A hypothesis like a prediction, like a the same thing as a prediction, but it's like a hypothesis, like when you're trying to prove something or you think it's right.
You on the money. Give me some other stuff. Go.
It's like educated guess.
Educational guess. Go.
Or you trying to just try. It's like you try to get the right. You try to pick the smarter answer, but if it's not correct, it's still a perfect guess. So it's a hypothesis.
Excellent. All those are right. Educational guess. Question. Trying to make a proper choice. When we're doing this with inferences, what we're doing is we're generating a hypothesis. We're trying to make a educational guess. If it's not right, so what? We're back to the drawing board. We're going to do it all over again until we get it to where we're supposed to be. When we're dealing with data, we're making a guess. And I'm going to show you some things dealing with that data when we are making a guess. Here's Joe Billy Bob. Joe Billy Bob is a good friend of mine. Joe Billy Bob took his test. When Joe Billy Bob took his test in fall of 2000, his scores was a 125. Winter of 2001, his scores went from a 120, 125 all the way up to 140. What hypothesis can we say about Joe Billy Bob's score? Are they gonna go up? Is he on the upswing going in the spring, or is he gonna be on a downturn? It's gonna go up. How many points do you think this is gonna go up, Go?
It's going up by probably another 20 points.
You think it'll go up another 20 points? What do you think, sir?
15 points.
You might go up 15 points. What's your, if you're making inferences, what do you think is gonna happen? You think, and why do you think he might go up 30 points?
I just every time you go to spring, how many points you move.
All right, so every time he goes up so many points, it's gonna make a difference, right? What do you say, Go?
I think he's gonna go another 20 or 25. Because he started at, did you say 120?
Yes.
He started at,
Don't be rude.
started at 120, then he moved it to 140. So he might go 20.
That's fine. All right, so the last phase of this is phase 4, making inferences. I want you to take a look up on the board. We got a person's data here. Now this person is a mystery person. This person, we don't know their name, and I didn't put any names up because that's not for us to put up. Take a look here. Here is the scores on this side. So 100 points, 150 points, 200 points, 250 points is the max. On the bottom, FA means what? Raise your hand and tell me. FA means what?
Fall.
Fall. WI?
Winter.
Winter. SPR, Rico? Spring. So if I have SU, what would that be?
Summer.
Summer. Question. Go.
For the number, ain't you talking about like the years like in the fall 2016 and in the winter 2017?
You
and spring 2017.
You're absolutely on the money. So we're coming to that. So here, anytime you read these scores, anytime you look at that sheet, you're going to look at the start. The start of the school year is in the what?
Fall.
It's in the what?
Fall.
The end of the school year is in the what? Hey, pause. The beginning of the school year we said is in the fall. So now, if we're talking about the end of the school year, is it in the spring or is it in the summer? Summer. All right, so in the spring of the year, absolutely. You said June 21st, and technically you're correct. So, we take scores from fall all the way to spring. That's the first thing you have to look at. The next thing you have to look at is, you see this kind of graph here. What type of graph is this? Don't blurt it out, but you can raise your hand. The key, what kind of graph is this?
Bar graph.
It's a bar graph. The key, now with this bar graph, what do you notice the pattern is with this bar graph?
The data go higher. I mean, the data was at 150, and then it started going higher and higher.
Okay, well, technically it might not be at 150, but we know that it starts off low and then it gradually goes up, right? What do we see for fall of 2016? Break the data down. Go. And you got the spring, you got the winter. Go.
You mean?
You have fall.
At first somebody had 174, and they took another test in the fall. And they got 184, and then they took another one and got 201.
So there you see that technically there should be a gradual growth and a gradual progression. What do you see as far as winter goes?
In the winter, it's first is 184, and then they took another test, 189, and then they tried out their might, and then they gave it 207.
Now, what I want you to know with both people that just spoke, they were right as far as the scores are concerned. However, these are considered to be ranges, ladies and gentlemen. So in the fall of 2016, the low range is 174. Take a look at the high range, it's 201. In the winter, the low range is 184, and the predicted range is what?
207.
In the spring, the low range is considered to be what?
189.
And the high range is considered to be what?
211.
Very good. So when you look at this, this is considered to be your ranges. It's not so much that they took tests, Robert, but it's considered to be your range. All right? So now, what I need you to do, I want you to draw this graph right here. In your notebook, you're going to draw this graph. And the only part of that graph that you are going to have to mark, and I know some people went ahead of me, I want you to do the range dealing with fall 2016. I want you to do the range fall 2016. That's the only way that you have to do. Because we're trying to keep time. Doing an excellent job, ladies and gentlemen. Sit up in your seat, please. Yeah, while I'm explaining. Okay, now we're moving down to the bottom where you actually see the graph right here that Morris just asked a question on. What we see here is this is actually giving you a breakdown of what you're looking at as far as the graph is concerned. Here we have term year. FA, which is fall 16, like you all said, grade 4. Question, why do we have grade 4 scores and you all are in the 5th grade? Keith, answer that for me, or give me a reason. Bassett, I'm coming to you next. Go.
Because somebody's falling
You gotta project your voice, dude.
Because somebody's falling in the 4th grade area.
That's a good comment. Bassett, what do you think?
Compare your old score to your new score.
Very good. We're running a comparison. So we're doing a compare and contrast. So we're going from fall scores, and then we're looking at, well, wait a minute. We started off at fall at this level, spring this level, winter this level, spring this level. Now, in the 5th grade, we want to see this, this, and this. So now, we have what's called the RIT, which is the RIT. These RIT scores right here, 171, 174, 177, are considered to be your ranges.
Listen, 4, my dad's STD.
171 dash 174, 177. Now let me give you this so you understand. The comment was this STD right here, which is standard score. Standard score. Now, if you notice, you see that there is no growth. Why would there be no growth and no growth projection there? Why would there be no growth and no growth projection in fall for this particular fourth grader? But in the spring, there's some rate growth and there's some projection. So why would we have this? Why is this space empty right here? Ma'am, you got a projected voice.
Probably the first grader didn't do very good on the first time.
You say maybe you didn't do good on the first time. Rob, what you say? Okay. Ma'am,
Probably because he got the same score he had the last one.
perhaps. Brown, what do you say? Why is there no growth here, no projection here?
Maybe because it's not up.
You say it's not up yet, it's not being able to be produced yet? What do you say, Milton? Well, when we look at this fall, when we look at fall 2016, we see this right here. That the child is just entering into what grade? Not fifth. Fourth. In 2016, the child was just entering into fourth grade. So there were no scores to be able to compare. The child just came in. So that child just took that test and just produced these scores. Well, how about the spring? How about the spring here? Spring we have fourth grade, 186, 189, 192. Uh-oh, rate growth, 15. Growth projection was 12. And percentile is 4-6-9. So what can we say about that? Rate growth means how many points they went up. So they went up 15 points. What were they projected to grow up, Morris? 12. So did they surpass their growth total? Yeah. So when they surpassed their growth total, then that means that they passed on their range. So let me ask you this. If you pass on your growth total, did you achieve what you were supposed to achieve on this test?
Yes.
All right, now question. Is everybody supposed to get the same score?
No.
Why? That's the $100 million question. Why?
Because everybody's at their own level.
Everybody's at their own level. So if I'm at 165 and you're at 185, we got different growth totals, right? Okay. Well, we're going to have, Myron is going to pass around some of our tests, copies of our tests.